Okay, we should be live, but again, there is always a lag. So let's just confirm and then we'll get started. Folks, if you can hear us and if the AV is clear and if everything's all right, please let me know on chat. With YouTube, you can never be sure, right? So, okay, I can see on my phone that we're live. Fantastic. Folks, can I get some responses on chat, please? If you can see us and hear us all right, and then we'll get started. Right, still with, okay, fantastic. I've got one response. That's great. What about others? Can I get a few more responses? Fantastic. Rohan, thank you for confirming. All right, there's always a lag on chat, so I'm sure we'll get more responses. Okay, folks, let's get started. I know everybody who's watching this stream I'm sure most of you are appearing for IIFT on Sunday, right? You're probably appearing for Snap as well. There's a lot on your plate, so we'll just get started. No small talk, no nothing. We'll just get started, get to business as soon as possible, and then give you what you're here for, which is, of course, tips and tricks and information around the IIFT exam. Okay, now we'll start with an introduction. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Jatin. I am the head of verbal ability and reading comprehension at 2IIM. Just to give you a bit of a background, I have extensive corporate experience. I was there in the corporate world for about 18 plus years before I switched to this domain because about a couple of years ago, because I'm very passionate about two things, which is English and teaching. And that's why I teach VRC. It's as simple as that. All right. Now, this session, of course, is focused on IIFT, right? Given that the exam is coming up on Sunday. IIFT, as you know, is one of the best B schools in the country. So obviously, there's a lot of interest in this exam. So that's why we decided to organize this session today. The focus will be on the IIFT exam. We'll discuss strategies to crack the exam, right? And again, as much as possible, we'll keep it focused on the IIFT exam. That's the topic of this session, right? We have an excellent panel with us. I'm very excited, particularly personally, I'm very excited about that. I'm just going to introduce them. We'll start with Bhoomika. So we have Bhoomika Mohan, who is currently the junior cell coordinator of the literary cell at IIFT. And she's also the national winner of Godrej Loud, which is a very prestigious B school competition, right? Bhoomika, of course, is a first-year student at IIFT. She's pursuing MBA in International Business from the IIFT Delhi campus. All right, welcome, Bhoomika. Very happy to have you.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
All right, great. We also have Aman Bhardwaj with us. He's also an IIFT Delhi student, and just like Bhoomika, he's also pursuing his MBA in International Business. Aman is a computer science engineering graduate with 2 years of experience in the IT domain. And you'll be very excited to know Aman was one of the top scorers in IIFT last year. So he secured 99.86 percentile in IIFT 21 with a 99.96 in VRC, right? So as a VRC coach, I have nothing to do with it, but I don't know, somehow I feel very proud about it. But anyway, welcome, Aman. Great to have you on board as well.
Nice, pleasure to be here.
All right, fantastic. Okay, folks, so let's just get to business. So the agenda of the session, as I said, is going to be focused on IIFT. I have a few sections which I'll, we'll interact with Bhoomika and Aman and sort of get their thoughts on that. And then once I'm done with my sections, we'll spend most of the time answering your questions on live chat. Okay, you can keep your questions coming on live chat, but we'll answer that in the second section. All right, fantastic. So let's get started. Now, a question to both of you, right? CAT just got done. We finished CAT on 27th of November. Okay, the answer key has been released. The objections, there were a couple of objections which just came through, right? And CAT, especially this year, I don't know how much you know, but CAT, especially this year, was quite a curveball, right? It was more challenging than the last few years, right? So there's obviously a lot of heartache, a lot of tears, right? And as a faculty, my heart sort of reaches out to the students, right? Because these folks prepare for 1 year, and you know this, you were in the same boat last year, right? They prepare extensively for 1 year, and then a 2-hour exam decides their fate. And like every year, a lot of students haven't done well. So my question to you is, and honestly tell me, is it possible for a student who hasn't done well in CAT to shine an IIFT and get through to IIFT potentially? Is that possible according to you?
Yeah, okay. Thank you for the question. I'd like to take that first.
Sure.
Yeah. To be honest, I wasn't a 99 percentiler in CAT. I don't think my CAT went as per expectation. This is the first exam you give, and everything that you ever thought you prepared for condenses to one exam. And that day it is likely that you will panic, or it is likely that you'll think that your life depends on this exam and things are going to change after this. And you'll take a lot of pressure about that. And then it does not go as per your expectations. But the point is that there are so many other colleges that are equivalent to top IIMs and are performing even better than some of them, and can get you to great places. So the point here is that the journey is trying to teach you to bounce back as fast as you can. You guys had 18 days, more than 18 days to like the gap of 18 days was more than what we got. We had only 4 days to come out of CAT's pressure and then prepare for IIFT, which had a lot of GK. So it's better that you learn to brush off the feelings from what you had just been through and then go ahead and crack the next thing that is in your hand, because you're well prepared. If you have prepared for CAT, one or the other exam, I bet you will get through it. And the same, to be honest, the journey is preparing us for what is coming. So once you come to a college, you fight for placements and you sit for companies and you sit for competitions. When you're there, you kind of realize how important it is to brush off the feelings from one rejection and be prepared, get in your suit, put a tie and be seated for the next interview. You're required to do that in a matter of hours. So this is through these things that you learn to get through this. And to answer your question of, is it possible to get into, crack IIFT with a great score after having had a bad CAT? I can bet that more than 50% of the people in my class didn't perform as good in CAT, but they were excellent at IIFT and other exams because they could bounce back and they prepared hard for it, that they took the time and prepared for it. I know people who had scored as low as 70 percentile in CAT and are now sitting at IIFT, now sitting at XLRI Jamshedpur. People are in SIBM Pune, people are in MICA. So all of them are equally worthy. And it's just, you have to understand how important it is to just come out of it and go ahead and do the next best thing that's there.
Amazing. Amazing. I'm sure that's very encouraging.
Yeah.
Sorry, Aman, go ahead.
Yeah, sure. I just like to take up that question. So what even for in my particular case as well, I was very disappointed with my CAT attempt. Just immediately after the exam, I was very, I was not satisfied with the way I had performed. I didn't even check the score. I just knew that it didn't go well. So the thing is, what I tried to focus on, because I only had a week left for IIFT. So I tried to focus on, more than the preparation, I tried to focus on the mindset. I tried to prepare my own self that okay, whatever has happened. So what I thought that this IIFT is the only thing that is currently for the next week. This is the only thing that I have in my own control. This is a new exam. This is a new attempt. The whatever happened on the CAT day doesn't define anything about my preparation. It's just that sometimes it just clicks for somebody and sometimes it doesn't. It's a matter of the day. Luck, in a way, luck factor matters. But in a way, it's just that in that particular moment, a person is not able to shine as much as they have prepared. So what I did was that I did not lose faith. I had believed that I had prepared. I had done my hard work. And I knew that I was worth it. I was worthy enough to go for the other exams as well. So that is what my focus was. In the CAT day itself, I promised myself that okay, I'm not going to let whatever happened to define the next week. And then immediately the next day onward, I just started preparing with mocks and GK, because ultimately it won't matter. You won't even remember after the CAT, if you manage to secure one or two more good exams, if you manage to crack a few more exams, then ultimately you will not remember it as badly. That the CAT attempt, it won't hurt you as much. The satisfaction of being able to perform well on that particular day, on the day that it mattered, that is what will stick with you. So the bad memory of CAT is not that prevalent in my mind, currently, because I was happy after the IIFT attempt. So that's what I wanted to convey. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. That's great. See, this is something, and there's a specific reason I asked this question, right? I keep telling my students all the time, that CAT, number one, CAT is not a marker of your competency. It's not a measure of your competency. A 2-hour exam cannot define you or cannot define your competency or your life, right? Any exam for that sake. And just because CAT didn't go well doesn't mean that other exams are also not going to do well. There are, as you said, right? Bhoomika brought up a very interesting statistic. She said more than half of the students in her batch didn't do well in CAT, but shined in IIFT. I see students every year who do really well in these other competitive exams and IIFT who don't do well in CAT. But I think this coming from you, right? I'm sure, I just want everyone to remember it who's watching. These are people who were in your shoes last year. Some of them didn't, for them, CAT didn't go well, but they're still here in IIFT, which is one of the best colleges, and they're thriving, right? And this can be you as well. So as Aman said, right, forget what's happened in CAT, shake it off, and let's move on. Okay, fantastic. This is great. So on that note, let's just talk a little bit about the differences between CAT and IIFT, right? Like structurally also the exam is a little different, and I'm sure that also sort of causes that, difference in performance. So if you can just, give us your thoughts on that. What are the broad differences between CAT and IIFT?
I'll just go first on this.
Sure.
See, the main X factor that I found to be different between CAT and IIT is that you are able to switch between sections.
Correct.
So this is the biggest thing that I used to my advantage when I just started giving the mocks for IIFT. I realized that this is one place where I can excel. That I can find out which section I'm in that particular exam is easier, which section I can attempt more, which section I can attempt less. So that time bound was not there. So that I used to my advantage. And secondly, what my observation has been is that IIFT has a mix of easy and difficult questions. It's even more profound than in CAT. In IIFT, the one question would be very difficult, and the immediately next question would be extremely easy. So that the contrast in difficulty is quite high in IIFT exam. So what I figured out while I was giving the mocks is that I only need to cherry pick the easy ones. So that is what I learned. So this contrast, the difficulty difference between questions is quite high. So That is why it's a very good opportunity also. If you're able to single out the easy ones. So then you'll shine through. I mean, so that is the dichotomy of the difference, the contrast between this and the ability to switch between sections. Correct. These two are the something that you need to take advantage of. And the GK part, GK, I would say that there is we had only 1 week in our time, so I did from a few compendiums and a few online resources I prepared from that. But in 1 week also you can actually get a decent score in GK. That also is another factor. And if you have some kind of background knowledge from earlier, then it will actually boost your score. So in my case, it actually helped me even boosting my score. The GK section also helped me. Yeah. So that is the difference.
Awesome. I think that major sort of as you rightly pointed out, the major difference is that there's no sectional time limit, right? So the strategy completely changes. Right. And as Aman said, I think that's a very, very important point. You need to cherry pick your questions, right? So go attack the questions which are manageable first, and then maybe come back in round 2 for like the difficult or time consuming questions, right? Fantastic. Bhoomika, any thoughts on this? The differences between IIFT and CAT?
Yeah, I would say that what sets the paper apart is that IIFT is a speed-based exam. CAT is a critical reasoning based exam. So the kind of RCs that come in IIFT are not critical reasoning based, but they are very lengthy. So some RCs were extremely lengthy. I remember I only had like 3 minutes or so left in the last, and I had one full big RC left. But what I did was I did not read the entire passage at all. I just went directly on the question. I saw that there was a keyword in the question. I came up and I was just looking for that word. I read the word. I read -1 and +1 lines, and I realized that it's pretty straightforward. I just went down and clicked, and I realized that the entire RC was based like this. I could complete it. I could complete all the 4 to 5 questions in the next 3 minutes, and I could attempt the RC. Even till date, I have not read the entire thing. So that is the kind of strategy you only develop when you give mocks, when you know what kind of exam is set by this particular college, or what kind of things they're targeting us to look at. So clearly, IIFT is not judging you by how much how much you can extract out of one thing. They're judging you by how smart are you. Can you strategize? Can you prioritize? Can you see what needs to be attempted in how much time? Second thing that I think sets IIFT apart is VA. Again, the RC, since I talk about, I mean, BA is more vocabulary, more grammar based. There are fill in the blanks, there are match the following, there are direct vocabulary questions. So if you have been reading a little bit, which I am assuming that you've been doing for CAT, if you were a serious aspirant, it won't be a problem for you. One or the other way, you will be able to eliminate 3 options and come down at 1. So that is also a thing. Aman talked about GK. He is really good at GK. I know him. I know his background. He's interested in history. He knows things. He's always stopping by and reading newspapers. I wasn't all that invested in GK and current affairs, but I still managed to pass through. So what you have to do is like have one section very strong where you can attempt really well, and then be able to like crack GK so much so that you can clear the cutoff. So all I did was during the last few days of CAT, and then the entire time that I had for IIFT, which was only 4 days, I spent 100% of my time only on GK, and I revised maths formulas, because a lot of quant questions are direct formula based. Right. There were 7 to 8 very easy questions. There were extremely tough questions as well, but there were very easy questions too. So you just have to like the game of searching. So once you know what questions are they, it's direct formula, or is it like it's something that you've always practiced, like level 1 questions for CAT. So that sort of thing. Right. Knowing formulas will help. And then GK, again, I only did the compendiums that coaching institutes provide. And I read everything that has happened in the last 1 year. I remembered what books were launched and what books received awards, what movies received awards, which banks have collaborated, what mergers have happened, and what companies have changed their logos and everything. So I was more invested into exactly doing what IIFT needed me to do than knowing everything. So we are both different, but we were both able to do it one way or the other. So develop your own strategy, knowing your own background.
Right. Okay. That's solid advice. So folks, just to summarize, right? I think both of you, both of them said that mocks are very important, right? And I think somebody's asking on chat, if I start with previous papers now and give 2 mocks till the D-Day, will it be enough, right? You just heard from Bhoomika and Aman, they had 4 days to prepare after CAT, right? And now you have about 3-4 days before the exam. So go for it, right? Firm up your strategy in mocks. Remember, the strategy will be different from CAT, right? And I think a couple of points that both Aman and Bhoomika brought up is, one, remember that there are going to be sitters. There are going to be easy questions mixed in with difficult questions. So don't get stuck, right? Definitely focusing on clearing the sectional cutoffs and then capitalize on your stronger sections, right? For Aman, that was GK. For Bhoomika, it was some other sections. Bhoomika said she wasn't good at GK, but still she was able to clear that, right? So yeah, just get your strategy right. I think that's very important. Awesome. This is great. So now let's just talk a little bit about specific sections, right? And I know, Bhoomika, you touched a little bit upon it, but let's just go section wise, and you folks can just give me your top strategies for each section based on your strengths, right? Let's start with, I'm going to be biased. Let's start with VRC. Bhoomika, of course, gave some thoughts. Aman, let's start with you. You were, of course, a 99.96 percentile on VRC, right? Give us your secrets.
So, like for this specifically for the IIFT exam, actually, when I attempted the IIFT exam, I made it a point that I will not change my strategy from CAT very directly. It won't be a very drastic change. So I attempted it in the same order that we have in CAT. You know, I was used to that. First VRC, then LRDI, then quants. So for the initial, I think I would say 45 to 50 minutes, I attempted the RCs first. And there are 2 kinds of RCs there were 2 kinds of RCs last year. So one had 3 questions and the other was a 5 question wala RC. So what I did was that the smaller RCs, I read through them. They were more critically oriented questions. So that I was able to solve because I found the difficulty to be quite less than CAT. So the difficulty was manageable for the 3 question RC, but for the 5 question RC, what I noticed was the passage was extremely lengthy. And when I saw the questions, then I actually, I had changed my strategy there and there, because I started reading the questions first. For the 5, the bigger RCs, I read the questions and they were mostly fact-based questions. So it was very easy to go and find the specific reference in the paragraph and then come back, So I would also advise that if you are giving mocks, if you give the previous year mocks, then please try this. If the RC is extremely long, you just try reading the question first, and then because most of them are factual, so you take advantage of that, right? And then what I did was from VARC, then I moved towards LRDI, and I found even though I'm a bit more stronger in LR, but in the paper itself, I found DI to be easier. So I understood that, okay, it's not, there's no point in getting stuck up just because I'm good in LR doesn't mean that I have to stick to LR. I found the DI easy, so I started attempting the DI first. So then I solved 2 sets of DI, and then I was ensured that at least I'm clearing my cutoff now. Then I searched for a few questions from DILR. I think I solved one or two most. I think one more set.
Sorry to interrupt. We'll come to DILR a little later. We're just sort of trying to go section by section. But I think a couple of important points that both of you brought up, right? With RCs, right? These folks, there are factual questions in IIFT, especially with the longer RCs. So that is a change that you'll have to do from CAT. Because in CAT, when I teach students, I always tell them, don't look at the questions first, go through the passage, then go to the questions. And IIFT, factual questions, you can solve it like the way you used to do it in school, right? We used to have those amazing RCs in school. That's why everybody used to love RCs in school, which completely changes in CAT. But yeah, here you have factual questions, so definitely attempt that. But I think one of them very important point is to try this in mocks, right? Don't just expect to get this correct in the exam. Try it in mocks, and then for sure try this in your exam as well. Right? Amazing. Fantastic. Bhoomika, I think any other tips on VRC apart from the ones that you shared? I know you spoke about verbal ability and all of that.
Yeah. I think go through a few books if you can during this time. There are a few YouTube playlists that I used. One that somebody was teaching word power made easy. So I used to, when I used to like have my lunch or dinner, I made it a point, like I played the video and then I used to eat. So that way, like some words could go and some roots I could learn. And then even though you haven't done enough for CAT, which I understand why, because there are no direct vocabulary questions, go through word power made easy, go through Ren and Martin's Norman Lewis, and then you can use Lucent if you don't have a good English background. Lucent is a very easy book. So probably if you have studied English well, you don't need it. But then you can go through those words and it will hardly take like 15 minutes to cover 100 words or something. Having gone them once through them, you'll be able to like identify when it comes to that. So yeah.
Fantastic.
And if you wish to know about like how I attempted the IIFT exam, it was absolutely different from what Aman spoke about. So I can take that up if you wish for it to be taken now.
Sure. We'll come back to it a little bit. Let's move to DLR, and Aman, I'll come back.
Actually, just wanted to add one thing about VARC. See, the thing is, there were questions which were very vocabulary based. Right. So in that, I would give one advice. This is something I also followed, that don't get stuck up on one question, because there are for example, there are foreign word question, or there are questions where the vocabulary is extremely difficult. So either you know it or you don't know it. I would say that if you don't know it, just don't get stuck up on it and just think that try to guess. Don't do that, because there are other easier questions that you can instead be doing. That would just one extra point that.
Absolutely. And I think one thing to remember is that structurally, yes, IIFT is different, but the negative marks is the same. It's +3 -1, right? So the risk that you're taking in these questions is similar to the level of CAT, right? So keep that in mind. It's again, I don't want to talk about other exams, but yeah, definitely keep that in mind. So the risk level, and as Aman said, either you know a vocabulary question or you don't. So don't sort of spend too much time trying to figure out. It's not a puzzle to solve, right? It's a black and white thing. Anyway, going back to DLR, Aman, one interesting point that you brought up is how you were stronger in LR, but in the exam you ended up attempting more of DI questions because DI was more manageable, right? So the flexibility is very important, right? You can't just go according to your strengths. It also depends on what's there in the exam.
That's what I just wanted to highlight, that whatever we have, the mindset that we have before the exam, so we need to be able to adapt in that particular environment. It's very important, because here you have an additional level. You can even switch between sections. So that is one thing. And the second thing is be prepared that if, for example, in LRDI, like in my case, LR I was good at, but I ended up solving DI more. So don't get too dogmatic, be willing to adapt. That is the game, in my opinion. Yeah.
Right. So it's a mix of both your strength plus the manageability of that section in the paper that you get, right? So you need to consider both factors. Excellent advice. Bhoomika, any tips on DILR from your end?
Yeah, I would like to say that IIFT DILR questions are fairly long. I mean, I had a smaller screen than what I used to practice at home. So I had so every mock that I had given more than 12 mocks of which were past year exact IIFT original exams that I gave as mock. So I had appeared for 12 mocks, and it was on my laptop screen, which I'm assuming you guys have it too. Now the bar charts that I was used to seeing was different than what I saw on the exam, because the screen was smaller and everything was enlarged. So I had a larger zoom, like it was zoomed in. So I had to I had to scroll down and then scroll up to always come and manage all of that. So assume that, I mean, understand that even if that happens, you don't panic at that moment, that I have to come back again and again to see, you know, where the bar graph touches and what all is that. Now questions are longer, but there are some direct questions also. Even though the set is hard, it's very important that you read it, all the sets. And that is why time distribution and time management in DILR becomes a big deal, because you can be stuck at this set and solve it for hours and still solve everything else that's not needed and not come out to say the percentage distribution that is asked, or what some derivation that has been asked out of the bar chart. So it's very important that you distribute time and you know that this is 10 minutes I'm going to spend on this thing. If it doesn't come out, if it doesn't give me substantial results, I'm going to move out and move to somewhere else. That I think is very important in DI. Right. And also short questions. Do not judge IIFT DILR by, you know, if it's short, I'm going to attempt it first. Short questions are trickier. They are rather layered. And if you go ahead and see the, you know, longer sets, they'll be easier and there will be, you know, bar graphs and all. And if you've actually prepared for, you know, CAT level DI, which is tougher, I think you'll be able to do it. Second thing, IIFT DI and even quants is heavily calculation intensive. There were DI sets where we had to like calculate, I think like 12 to 14 rows I had to add. And I remember like I was writing and, you know, adding everything, and it didn't stop. I couldn't stop because it was too much, but that was only based on addition. So you don't really have to add, like if it is 1672 in plus 1728, you don't have to add everything. Just have some like 68 plus 17 plus something will result to this, that. So those smart games you have to play during the exam if you want to do it fast. Again, you learn it through giving mocks. Yeah. And then you'll also learn it by, you know, just verbally trying to solve some questions. Just look at a set and be like, if I didn't have a pen and paper, how would I do it? If you can somehow manage to somewhere reach around, like, you know, if you can even eliminate one option, you're good to go.
Okay.
So you'll be able to handle.
All right. Fantastic. Those are great tips. All right. Let's move to quant. There are a number of questions for quant as well. I'll come down to that. It's a very specific geometry question, but what are your tips for quant? Is it similar to CAT where it's arithmetic heavy, or there is another subtopic which is likely to be heavy, and what are your sort of overall tips for the quant section?
I would say that it's very similar to CAT, but yeah, there are some questions which are quite easier than CAT. You know, there are 10 standard level questions also. So again, we need to be willing to, you know, we need to be able to, when we are skimming through it, we need to be able to identify, okay, will I be able to do this or not?
Correct.
Right. Every question you need to ask this to yourself, because this time can be used in scoring. You need, after you've cleared your cutoff, the time that you're extra time that you're going to spend in that question, you can rather go and in VARC, or you can go to LRDI. You know, this is so that is the, you know, thing that you're dealing with over here. Right. So you should be able to judge that, okay, can I do this or not? Right. I remember, I think I didn't solve a lot of questions. I around 10 questions. I remember 10 or so. So in quants, from what I remember, yeah. So that's what I'm saying, that at that moment of time, you need to be able to decide. And there are a few topics which are extra in when you need to prepare for IIFT or other moments. So yeah, those, if you end up doing those the questions from those are relatively easier to, you know, get in the exam. So right. Even though different from CAT, but it pays off if you have studied those topics.
Got it. Okay. And specifically about geometry, somebody's asking me, is there a lot of geometry in IIFT? I know it's been a year for you guys, but do you sort of remember if it's geometry heavy in the exam?
I do. It is arithmetic, geometry, modern maths. These were like, I could see repeated questions.
Okay. Fantastic. Awesome. And Bhoomika, what about you? What quant tips? Yeah.
Okay, so I am a non-engineer. I haven't studied maths for a long while before CAT. Obviously, I prepared for CAT.
This is good for people to hear, right?
Yeah.
That's a standard question. Yeah, go for it.
Quant wasn't my strength. It still isn't.
Right.
VA was something that I played hard at, and then DILR, I was trying to be always good at it. I used to practice Sudoku. I used to practice crosswords. I used to practice abacus. So my younger brother is really good at abacus. So I used to always sit with him and, kind of understand some Vedic maths, and if it could help. So I think quant questions in IIFT exam were either extremely easy or extremely tough last year.
Okay.
You cannot judge the question by the length of it. You cannot see, like, if it's a question of 7 to 8 lines, I'm not going to read it. Oh, it looks intimidating, I won't go through it. Also, I had a bias that I wasn't very good at probability and permutations. So I always had, like, whenever I saw that question, I'd anyway get intimidated and I would try leaving it. But at IIFT, I realized that after having gone through my round 1, I came back on the probability and permutations and solved that very question because it was very easy. It was only, I think it was 1 or 2 questions only, and I could solve it. So do not have that bias. If you think that CAT maths I wasn't good at, I won't be good at IIFT math, questions are formula based. The only thing that you have to do from now till end of the day, till you appear for IIFT, is revise your formula book every day. If you have a formula notebook, I'm sure sir must have, like, coaching institutes do provide, go through every formula. You will directly be needed to apply. Geometry we talk about is directly formula based. Arithmetic is majorly something that you've always solved for every other exam. You'll be able to do it. So pick things that you know you're good at, the formulas you know for, and choose easy questions. Choose the easy ones. There are enough. There were 8 to 10 easy questions, level 1 and level 2 questions that I was very easily able to solve. So you can probably pick that up and then see from there. It was, as I told, modern maths and arithmetic and geometry here.
Awesome. Great. People are loving your answer, Bhoomika. All the non-engineers are rooting for you, including me. I'm a non-engineer and I'm very sort of anti-quant. I don't understand. Anyway.
Yeah, and then I would like to tell you that there are 50% in non-engineers in our batch and 50%
beautiful.
engineers. So
Beautiful.
you have a great chance to be here. I worked at a newspaper company as a newspaper editor. I have a journalism background. I have 3 other journalists in my class, and there are so many people that I can tell you, I mean, who have cracked it without having they weren't great at maths. Also, IIFT provides you 5 marks for being a non-engineer and 2 marks for being a female. So that is always an advantage.
Sore topic. This, the GEM folks are not gonna be enjoying this conversation. Anyway, but yeah, that's great. Diversity for the win, right? That's always great. I'm a big sort of pro-diversity person. I know it's a debatable topic, but that's for another day. All right, fantastic. So I think what's coming out from both of them, right? And both of them have mentioned this repeatedly. I'm just summarizing it. The easy questions are going to be mixed with difficult questions. There are going to be sitters in the exam, right? So I think that round 1, round 2 strategy, and folks, just let me know if that was useful for you. I'm a big advocate of that. In round 1, you go through the easy questions. Round 2, you come to the difficult questions. And in round 1, you would want to clear your sectional cutoffs. And then in round 2, you can capitalize on your stronger section. So basically based on your strength and the manageability of the section, right? Would that be sort of a decent overall strategy to go with, according to the both of you?
I would like to, like, take a
yes, go for it. You want to discuss, right?
How I attempted the exam. It was different from how Aman did. I went directly into GK. I didn't even, like, the moment exam opened, I went to GK because I knew that whatever I know in GK, I know. Whatever I don't know, I don't know. So I'll just look at the question once. I'll either solve it or leave it, and I'll be done with that section. So I directly went there. I solved whatever I could solve, and there were questions as easy as was the largest continent in India, in the world. So, and there were very general questions which we'll talk about later. So I just directly went on GK. I solved whatever I could solve, and I never looked back at it. So, and I only solved what I knew, because you cannot take risk with the.
So you said you started with GK? Is that what you said? Sorry. Okay, you started with GK and you quickly sort of went through it. Okay.
Yeah, I knew it. Like, I'm just going to do what I know, and I'm just going to leave what I don't. And then I came to VA, because VA is similar to GK in such a way that you know what you know. If you don't know the meaning, you don't know. Absolutely. So I left RCs, but I attempted everything else that was there. And then I came to DILR to attempt enough to, clear the cutoff. And then I probably attempted 1.5 set or something. And then I went to quants and did enough to, I just did round 1. I knew I would panic if I see a lot of difficult question, if I get into them and I'm not able to. So the worst part is when you are in middle of a question, it has been like 2-3 minutes, you're reaching nowhere and you still want to solve it because you know you're close, but you also want to leave it because it's taking a lot of time.
Correct.
Those moments you cannot handle if it is your first time seeing that and feeling that. You have to come out of it and go back. So, and then I attempted enough for every section to be able to cross-sectional. And then I came back on VA. I attempted everything in VA. I remember the entire palette was filled. And I attempted 8 to 9 questions in quants. And
brilliant.
So
brilliant. I think that's good insight. Folks, again, this is a great strategy, but please don't blindly copy it. This worked for Bhoomika. She formed it up in mocks. you try this in mocks if you want, and then you do it in the exam, right? So don't just blindly copy strategies. Make it your own by trying it in mocks. I'll go to Aman. Aman, quickly, was round 1, round 2 your strategy as well, or did you do something different?
Yeah, in a way it was based on the same concept, but what I did was I did not try to drastically change myself from CAT. So
Right.
first VRC, I attempted VRC for around 45-50 minutes, then moved to LRDI. Again, I solved DI, and then, I found that, okay, I can use this time better in other sections. So I cleared the cutoff and I just moved on to quants. There also I surround around 10 questions. Then I know that I had a bit of time left. So then I went back to the section which I found easiest. Then I went back to VRC. So I think I pretty much attempted almost the entire paper because I had time, and the questions seemed they seemed quite doable to me. So yeah, I remember I had left two RCs towards the end. I was able to solve. These were the two bigger RCs. That is when I just read the questions first, and then I started attempting those RCs, and I was able to do it. I had left them for later on because I thought that this will take time. Let me just go and come back if I get the time. So yeah, that is what I did. And yeah, in the GK, in my case, I read it towards the end. So the strategy might be different. So everybody has to form their own strategy. That is why mocks are important. This is where and mocks in mocks as well. The best would be that you solve previous or IIFT papers itself, because that will give you the best feel of the paper.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. Great. Awesome. So I think so round 1, round 2 clearly is something that will work, but of course you'll have to adapt it to your own style and your own mock performance. Just a word on sectional cutoffs, right? So both of them spoke about how they cleared the sectional cutoffs in the first round, right? See, the sectional cutoffs are manageable, right? Are manageable for each section. So I have some data. Again, take it with a pinch of salt. This is not exact data. But for instance, if you look at VRC in 2022, the cutoff was around 19, 20 marks, right? DLR was around 13, 14 marks. QA was around 8, 9 marks. GK was just 6, 7 marks, right? So the cutoffs are manageable. You can clear them in round 1, and then you come back and capitalize. Okay. But also remember one thing, clearing sectional cutoffs is important, but the overall score, the overall cutoff is not going to be a simple addition of the sectional cutoffs. The overall cutoff will be much higher. So keep that in mind also, right? But yeah, take some sort of relief in the fact that the sectional cutoffs are not that difficult to achieve, provided your time management and strategy is correct. Okay, amazing. Let's talk about the dreaded GK section. So Aman did phenomenally well in GK. Aman, what was your percentile in GK?
Mine was 99.7 in GK.
Okay. So Aman clearly aced it, right? Bhoomika, I think yours was okay. You were like, okay, fine. This is one of the sections where I want to clear the cutoff,
I think,
right?
Aman, you scored a 11 in GK, and I scored a 7 in GK. I remember mine. I think he scored 11, right?
Okay. All right. Okay.
Mine was a bit more, yeah. So for GK, what I did was that after CAT, the week that was left, so I went through collected set of compendium. It had a set of questions which had happened. Past, I think 6 to 8 months. So it was a collection of whatever had happened, all the events, and that is what I went through majorly. It took me 3-4 days because it was quite a lot, and I went through it again. So I went through 2 times basically. So a lot of things were imprinted in my mind. So I was able to attempt quite a few questions. So I would say that a lot of around more than half of the questions came from that itself.
The compendiums.
Session of compendiums. Right. So I would say that I would advise anybody who is preparing for GK, you go through that. That is going to help you.
And this is a mix of current affairs and static GK.
Yes, current affairs and static GK. And one more advice I would give is just like VRC questions. If you know it, you spend time. Otherwise, there's no point in spending time. Don't spend a lot of time. I remember I didn't spend more than 2 to 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Yeah, I spent 3 minutes in GK because I would say that either I know it or I don't know it. Right. So that is what I did. That's why I attempted towards the end. So this is where you can save time, in my opinion. So
absolutely.
Yeah, that is what I would like.
I think VA and GK, verbal ability in GK is where you can save a lot of time because it's black and white, right? And see, what's interesting is Aman attacked it at the end, right? And it was the strongest section. Bhoomika did in the beginning, wanted to clear the cutoff and move on because her stronger sections were different, right? So again, this is again going to come up in mocks. So do that. Bhoomika, any tips on GK?
I want to contribute here because Aman did not tell that he has a very strong GK background. If you
Right.
like,
Okay.
if you spend like 20 minutes talking to him, you will know how much history and things. So do not just go by what he says, guys, because he has a background. And it's clearly like interest based. He hasn't like studied or something, but he's very interested in knowing things. So always looking at news. If there's something coming up, some protest coming, he knows of it. But I did not know a lot of it. I was very heavily invested into writing mocks and analyzing and just being all about CAT. So I knew that it only merely takes you 4 to 5 questions to clear the cutoff. One question is 1.5 marks, and there are 20 questions in GK. You just have to clear like 5 to 6 questions and you're out of it. 5.5 was the last year's cutoff.
Amazing.
Now, in order to do 6 right questions, you cannot go haywire. You cannot be like, let me just take a chance if I, don't know this, or I may have studied it somewhere and let me do that. So there is a pattern to what IIFT has been giving. And if you like sit back and actually solve 12 papers, you will know. Every exam has this pattern, and if you solve enough, you will know. I gave more than 50 mocks for CAT, and I gave like 12-13 mocks for IIFT. And by this time I knew clear difference. I mean, I didn't need anyone coming up in a video and then telling me, the difference between CAT and IIFT is this.
Right.
You can figure this out for yourself. Have your mock notebook, know how your GK has been going till now, because the mocks that they are making, coaching institutes are making, well, they have relevant GK. So know that I have to like get 6 or 7 right questions, find them if you can in the exam, and I hope you'll be able to do that. Till then, keep reading and going through YouTube videos. If you feel like compendiums are a lot and 1 year is a lot to do in this end time, you can go through a few videos that UPS aspirants or like they put on channels, and some banking channels are also preparing people for exams. So they put up a summary of the last month. I used to do like September review, November review, October review, and then we had our exam. So you can probably go, like, if you are like on the lighter side, if you have an interest, then I am assuming that you know of it already.
Yep. Sounds good. Awesome. So we've covered all the sections. Let's take some questions from chat. People have a lot of questions. So one interesting question for you, Bhoomika. It says Priyal Jain was asking, how was your CAT, Bhoomika? Us setback se bahar nikalna, was it difficult? I'm going to translate this for my non-Hindi speaking audience. What they're asking is, how was Bhoomika's CAT, and was it easy? Was it manageable to get out of that CAT setback, assuming that Bhoomika's CAT didn't go well? Over to you, Bhoomika.
It did go okay. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it was something that I didn't, that was not where I thought I would perform. It wasn't something that could, that I had always thought that, this is going to be my performance. I told you, I gave more than 50 mocks, and, I was analyzing and sitting, doing everything. This was everything that I had. And I was like, my life will change after this, and everything depends on this exam, and I have to do good. And my parents have expectations, and everything condenses to this one day that you've been preparing hard for. And I panicked during quants in CAT because I had like slot 3 and it was pretty difficult, and I wasn't able to solve a lot, and I was like, I won't be able to clear sectional, and what do I do now? I only have this much time left and all that. So I did panic. But the point is that by the time I came home, I knew that this is not what I thought I would perform, because I had given so many mocks. I know how much do I perform and what is the feeling right after writing a mock that I have, where I have a good result after it. So once you know that it's and I was not for a moment was I ever sick or sad, or I did cry, or I didn't support from my, I didn't go crying to anybody, because I know that I can do it. If given another paper right now without the, pressure in mind, I would be able to solve it very well, and I would be able to crack something or the other. So I knew it that I could do it. I just needed another chance, and it was only a matter of 4 days. And during those 4 days, all I did was GK. Like 100% of my time was doing GK. And in the morning, I used to just wake up and revise the formulas. That was the first thing I would do. Then I would go and do my daily course and sit back and write mocks. I'd write mock, I'd analyze it, and I had a mock diary made. I used to write everything, like so that I can see consistency. If every mock that I have given, past IIFT mock I have given, I have been able to solve VA questions more than 13 or 14. That means I am good at VA, and I should probably take this up this year also. So nobody really told me what to do and get into. I told myself by seeing my past year report. If you think you're having difficulty analyzing yours, review of whatever mocks you're doing, talk to your teachers. They'll be able to condense it for you and bring it down for you. But don't take anybody else's strategies as it is. So even if you have had a bad CAT, even if you have had a horrible CAT, which I did not, but obviously everybody at IIFT had the IIFT as their best call. That is pretty understandable, right? So everybody in here did not probably, do excellent in CAT. So if you're here and if you're at a place where you have a chance in the next 4 days, I mean, why don't you just go and kill it? Why to crib about it, right?
Yep.
And then you have another chance. Even if you don't do this well, you don't have to come out of IIFT and be sad and my life is done and all of that. It's all perfectly fine. It just looks like that when you're inside of a swamp where everything is coming at you and you have to write an exam, you don't remember formulas and all of that. So please forget the fact that bad cat has done anything to you at all. One cat attempt is too small for a big life that you have. You're going to get placed somewhere, a company is going to associate with you, everything is going to come out well, and you will be settled by the end of this year, and you'll be better by the end of this year. So please do not take that by heart. It's just done and dusted now.
Amazing. I love this advice. Love it. Okay, let's go to the next question. So a lot of questions around safe score, right? What's a safe score? What's a safe score? So now, folks, again, see, cutoffs and safe scores are going to completely depend on the complexity of the exam, right? So please do not go with a hard target in mind, because the complexity can be totally different. For instance, 2020 IIFT was much easier, so the scores went up. 2022 was more difficult. Scores went down. So keep that in mind. You'll have to be flexible. From what I understand, and folks, please feel free to add if you have any inputs here. But 120 plus, right? Generally, seems to be a good sort of score that should get you a call, right? Again, there are other factors also in the call, but 120 plus, please take it with a big pinch of salt, right? But that's what the guideline is. So take this for directional guidelines.
Yeah. So my advice here would be that if we are going to give the exam, so we should not have this kind of, we should not think that I need to score 120, because the exam might be quite significantly easier and the cutoff just might go to 150, 160, right? Correct. So that when we go, our aim should be, I need to maximize my score. That is what our aim should be when we are attempting the exam. And yeah, the cutoffs will take care of themselves, as long as we do our best. You do your best, the student does it best. Cutoffs will, things will fall into place. So don't worry about cutoffs, in my opinion. Coming to, if in my case, my score was 136.5, so that was around 99.86 percentile-ish. So I think 120 plus was 99. It was crossing in IIFT. Yeah. So
right. Yeah. Okay. Perfect,
and I think like for DI, since I told that I attempted 8 to 9 questions in quant, so probably 9 to 10 is a safe score there. And DILR, I think 14 would be a nice score. GK, I told 5.5 was the cutoff, so probably 6 to 7 would be nice. And then again, you cannot be seated on that day and be like, I am going to attempt only 100 marks exam today. You are going to maximize whatever. So you don't really have to worry about all of that. Just know that you're going to attempt so much questions. I am going to do something in every section substantially enough, and then I'm going to come back at my strongest section and fill that entire thing. So yeah.
Absolutely. I'm also not a big fan of this cutoff and safe attempt discussion, right? But yeah, folks, since you're asking, these are some sort of guidelines to keep in mind. Please take them as directional guidance. Do not set hard targets. That is a horrible strategy for any competitive exam, right? Especially the ones that are based on percentiles. Okay, there's a question on user interface of the exam, right? They're saying would like to know things whether we have an option to view all the questions like in question paper format, and whether we can zoom in if you want to see a graph closer. Do you folks remember, or is there a resource online that they can access? Would you know about this?
The exam is not conducted by like IIFT per se. The exam is conducted by NTA, so they have their own user interface, which is a little different than CAT, because you can move along the sections. But the good part is that you can the colors are going to be different, so you have to practice giving mocks, because some mocks do have like the same colors, so it's yellow, blue and green. And then you'll see for whatever you attempted, you can go back, you can change, you can erase. Everything is like it's doable. Zoom and all, I don't think that's possible. Question paper mode, I think yes, we did have a question paper mode. We can go through everything, and then you can pretty easily switch. I don't think there's nothing wrong with the interface. I think it was okay. It's just only if you see it for the first time, you're going to be like, oh, how do I handle this? But if you have given mocks like here and there, you would know. They tried to simulate the same situation.
Right. And I think one thing to keep in mind is, folks, read the instructions carefully, because again, there's so much of CAT ingrained in you, right? So please read the instructions here. Instructions can change also. They can change anything on the D-Day, right? So please read the instructions carefully. The instructions in the beginning of the exam and the instructions for each question also, right? I think that's important.
I just one more advice I'd just like to mention, that you mentioned instructions, right? They might even mention in the exam that there is going to be separate cutoff for LR and separate cutoff for DI. So that also you need to take care of, right? Just in case. So they can change anything. So that's why it's very important to read the what the instructions are saying. So just don't blindly start attempting the paper.
Absolutely. I think that is solid advice. Folks, please, everybody hearing this, right? Please read the instructions. And as Aman said, go with the mind that they can even tell you that there's a separate cutoff for DI and LR. So if you miss that, then obviously, that's a blunder. So read the instructions, right? And I think people laugh when I say this, but it works. The reading momentum is very important for VRC, right? So I tell people to continue the leisure reading till the exam. When you're sitting in the exam hall for the exam to start, read the instructions multiple times. That will give you momentum that you need to sort of jump into the VRC section also, right? Of course, that's secondary, but primary is to get the instructions right. Okay, that's I knew this question was going to come up. The $1 million question is, when will the admit card come? The admit card will obviously come. Don't worry about it. I think you can go and check your city center on the official site. The test center is, and the admit card, folks, don't worry about it. I understand the anxiety. It will come. Okay, it will come.
I mean, what is in your control right now, right?
Correct.
Preparing for it or cribbing about it at 10 places. The exam is conducted by NTA. There is some discrepancy from there, and we even if I want to like get this information to you, we do not know. And then it is going to come out maybe tomorrow or day after, because we only have like 4 to 5 days left. The city you're going to give your exam in, you should be fine, because anyway you're going to travel that day.
Correct.
And you will know it before, like 1 day before or more. So please do not get into this discussion where you kind of are wasting time in such a way that you think you're doing the right thing because it's still connected with the exam, but you're actually doing nothing productive or substantial. It comes with, pressure, because you always feel like, let me just sit with someone and just, talk about it. But that doesn't help. Why don't you go out and practice, maybe revise? If you cannot, just watch some videos. If you cannot, watch a video like this where people are talking, so that, or read, just do some leisure reading and just read a motivational book, a self-help book. These things will be contributing more than just worrying about, simple facts like these. It will come to you. We need people. We need a batch for next year, right? We're going to make it happen. So do not worry.
Right. And everyone's in the same boat. Don't worry about it, right? As she said, focus on the controllables. And I think people who are going to shine in IIFT are at this time either watching the stream or preparing for IIFT and not worrying about the admit card, right? So don't fall for that trap. Okay, Aman, there's a question for you. It says, Aman bhaiya, bataiye IIFT ka GK kaise clear hoga? Okay, and I'll translate this. So they're asking, Aman, tell us how we can clear the GK for IIFT. Again, we discussed it. But quickly, Aman, if you want to just quickly summarize.
Yeah, my advice would be that if you like just reading news or something, you can just keep on following the news by newspapers or social media or anything. But if you don't have a lot of time, so I would advise that go through the compendiums that that are easily available online. So you can get a collected condensed list of whatever happened in that span of time, and pretty much, a lot of questions do come from that. In what I remember is around half the questions came from that condensation of events, that current affairs that I had read up. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Quick question: are there TETA questions in IIFT? No, right?
I don't think so. Yeah, no.
Yeah, no, we haven't seen TETA questions. Again, it can come up. So read the instructions, but I don't think we haven't seen it in the past question papers. Pratik, you're asking about revising quants. Bhoomika did talk about it. Bhoomika, if you want to quickly talk about the formula stuff, and they're asking about how should they go about revising quants.
Yeah, so you have done it in CAT. So you can probably, to keep a flow of it, you can write sectionals and you can write IIFT mocks, which I'm telling you will help you. Otherwise, just go through your formula book every day, because IIFT is such a speed-based exam that you cannot stop and be thinking about, what was the formula. You have to know it. The moment you see the question, you have to solve it and get through it, because these are direct formula-based questions. Somebody else who is not good at quants, but probably has revised a formula book, will probably be able to crack it better if you forget at the time.
Amazing. Okay, let's switch gears. I know we're coming towards the end. And by the way, both Bhoomika and Aman both had 2 exams today, right? Their final semester exams. They've sat and written sort of 2 exams, and they're here in the session. And just because they said that they wanted to sort of pay back, they wanted to pay it forward, and they volunteered to come here and sort of talk to you folks. So again, just wanted to highlight that, Aman and Bhoomika, not everyone does this, right? That's the fact. So kudos to you. And again, thank you very much. We're not ending the session yet, but I just wanted to bring up that point. Let's talk about life at IIFT, right? How was you? This is your first year, right? Second, third trimester. How's life been there? I know Bhoomika is sitting in a classroom right now, which is interesting,
so
but yeah, go for it.
This is Aman's classroom, by the way.
Oh, this is someone's classroom. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So life at IIFT is student driven. You will come here and you will feel like you're your own master. Everything that you've been through, that you're going through, this is probably the toughest time that you're going through. Once you come here, you will have a group, you will have a batch that supports you, you'll have a faculty, and you'll have seniors, and you'll have an organization that will associate itself with you. You'll have their alums to call and talk and be associated with. So life is actually practically going to change once you do crack a top B school, and then you'll be held responsible. I mean, I realize it in every moment that I'm here, that now I'm on my own. And, just like I was during the exams, I had to kick off the setbacks and be right back at whatever I needed to do. Just like I spoke about companies, you have to be ready, and you have to cry it off and just be ready the next hour. So life is very fast. Life is very fun. Life is full of people. And there are a lot of parties that we do. There are a lot of engagements that we do. There are companies coming in left, right, center. There are corporate activities happening. There are competitions happening. I mean, we spoke about Godrej Loud in the beginning. That was the first competition that came on campus. And I never knew that I would get such an opportunity to be, I went to Godrej headquarters in Mumbai, and I spent 2 days there. And I talked to so many people from different colleges who had come there. I talked to people who are IIFT alums in Godrej working right now. That all these opportunities I couldn't have gotten without without the college. So this is going to change your life, but do not take that as a pressure. It won't be a horrible thing if it doesn't work out, because you still have your life left. And I'll tell
Correct.
you, there is a guy who is 29-year-old in my class. I think there are a lot of people who are 28, 27 in our batch. There is a girl who is 19-year-old, somebody who is my senior, who has just turned 21. And so there are people of all age groups. There are people who have had 5 years of gap years. There are people who have had 2-3 years of gap years. There are people who have had failed startups, and people who have done their own things, people who have left jobs, people who have lost, families, parents. There is whatever you can think of, there are those kind of people here, and they're all doing well, right? So whatever worst story you can think, there are people in great places who have surpassed it and been here. So do not think like you're alone in those shoes. We've all been there. We just come here and talk nice things about our lives, and I'm telling you, like, life is fun and all that. But just like sir told, we have literally given 2 exams today, and we have been studying for it. And the only gap that we had was 2 hours, and in that gap we were studying for the next exam. The moment the exam ended, we were preparing for this stream that we're doing it for you guys, and now we're doing it, and then we have another exam coming up. Everything's fast, but you get to learn it through this. The kind of stress you're going through right now is preparing for this. You won't even feel like this is the first time I'm going through this time. You'll be like, if I could crack it, and if I could sit back and do 5 back-to-back exams, this is nothing. So it's going to help you.
Amazing. People are loving your responses. Go ahead, Kamal. Go ahead.
Yeah, my experience is just adding just a few points adding to that. What I felt was that the batch that we have, the people, we get to experience a lot of bonhomie, a lot of friendship. You get to the bond that found between the students is very nice. And I would also like to thank we have very good seniors. What we've seen, that the seniors who are there, they go out of their way to help us. So we also feel very grateful at times. That they're taking the extra mile, they're going the extra mile for us. So yeah, that is what you'll experience in B School once you join B School. I would say that is one of the biggest things that I have experienced. And of course, there are parties, the parties and all are there, but this sense of belongingness that you feel, with your own batchmates and with your seniors, the gratefulness that you feel towards your senior, that is very powerful.
Fantastic. I think that's and actually that's very valuable in my experience also, right? In my experience from the corporate world, it's ultimately the people that matter, right? If you're surrounded by great people, all these hardships and these stressful situations that both Aman and Bhoomika are talking about become manageable, become easier, because there are people, there are support systems that support you, right? And I think it's all about also paying it forward, right? How Aman said the seniors are helping them out. Now today, Aman and Bhoomika are sitting here after a stressful day helping you folks. Tomorrow, some of you will clear IIFT, will get into IIFT. Next year, you will be here on this YouTube channel, hopefully paying it forward, right? So that's great. That's fantastic. And the diversity part at IIFT is very, very, very exciting. Okay, great. So I think we are almost at the end. Okay, let me see if there are, of course, there are questions about IIFT interviews and stuff like that. Folks, I think we'll do a separate session on that. Okay, we'll work it out, and because interviews are of course later, let's just focus on, let's tackle one part at a time, right? So clear this sort of part on Sunday, and then interviews, we'll definitely happy to talk about it again. Just towards the end, right? Final words, couple of questions to both of you. Final sort of like any motivation words for the students, because people need it at this point in time. And what was your stress buster? So you folks had only 4 days, so I don't even know if you had time to sort of like go through a stress buster. But what is a general stress buster? When you're anxious about exams in general, what do you folks do to sort of calm down and take your mind off it?
To be honest, I was somebody who isolated herself due to preparation. So I had a room, upstairs at my home, and my family was living we weren't living together that way. So I didn't really reach out for help. And now I feel like that's the one thing that I want to tell anybody. If you feel like you can't sleep tonight, if you feel like you haven't been eating well, if you feel like you're not performing well and you're stressed, please go and talk to your mom, talk to your dad, talk to your sister. You can randomly LinkedIn, find us on LinkedIn and text us. I am open to listening to your rant about, how you're not able to come out of the, CAT pressure. You can text your teachers. They're always there, and they know it because they see students going through this year after year, and they know how it feels like, right? So please seek help, reach out, always ask questions, and hold a hand. I did not do that and I suffered. Hold a hand. Second thing is, please take care of your health as well. So make sure that you're not writing mock after mock. So during like XAT preparation, I was writing 2-3 mocks together, and XAT is a 3-hour long exam. So I was writing 3-hour 2 mocks, and I was sitting straight for 6 hours, and my back started to hurt. And I realized like I had to take like 10 to 12 days to like get back to where I was before health wise. So do not get into don't let that pressure be too much that it hurts your neck, that it hurts your back. Now that you are not eating well and you're not drinking well, please make sure that you're doing all of that, and do not push away your parents, people who are actually wanting to help you. Don't say like, I'm handling it, I'll do it all alone. You don't even know what I'm trying to say. I know all of that frustration comes out, but please seek help, eat well, drink food. At the end of the day, we still have another year. You're still, how old are you, to be honest? Are you 29 already? If you're not, you have years left, right? I have a batchmate who's 29 sitting right with me doing exactly same what I am doing. So until you're 29, don't give us any excuses about I wasn't able to do it or do that or do that. There are people with 5 year, 4 year of work. So no excuses, if it comes to that.
Right.
Please take care of yourself that way and reach out for help.
I think beautiful. Aman?
Yeah. So for the stress buster, what my advice to anybody, especially who is disappointed with their CAT attempt, is that please don't be harsh on yourself, because it's just a 2-hour exam. You're still the same. Your preparation is still the same. Your capabilities are still the same. That doesn't say anything about you. Please, I cannot stress this enough, because there are so many examples that we see over here. We met so many people. They also say that these 2 hours don't define anything. That is the thing. And what I used to do is I used to, watch movies sometimes, to unwind myself. I would say that please take care of yourself. I used to go for evening walks every day. That cleared my mind. And when I used to just take a break from studying and go and have a walk and have some fresh air. That is what I do. I used to take steps to take care of myself. That is what I did. Especially what happens is we tend to be too harsh. After a disappointing one exam is disappointing. Please don't do that. It's unfair. It's unfair to the preparation that you've done. It's unfair to yourself. It's unfair to the people who have supported you. That if you just just think that one exam is going to destroy it all. There is going to be exams. When I went for the IIFT exam, I had this mindset that okay, I am going to do my best, but it doesn't matter. If it goes well, then it's good. If it doesn't go well, then also it's fine. That is what I was thinking, and I think, that is a very big part of why I managed to score a, decent percentile, because the mindset that I was in, I did not take any kind of pressure. I was ready to go for it. I'll do it again. What my thinking was that it doesn't matter if not this time, next time, then next time. I'm going to try. That is what I told myself. And one small thing is that taking care of yourself, and taking some time out for yourself, going for walks or something. That is also a part of the preparation.
Yeah.
I would say, it's also about the mindset. Preparation is important, but mindset is also equally important. When you're sitting for the exam, you should be extremely, cool and calm and composed in your head, right? And of course, at my home, I had a lot of support, especially my family. My mother helped me a lot, so really thankful for that. Yeah, and so that is there. Family support is there. These are the main things that I would just like to mention.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I would
Amazing.
also say, like, one small thing, if you guys are maintaining a mock diary or like somewhere where you're actually reviewing your mock scores,
Analysis. Yeah.
make it a habit that you write a short note below it of how you think you have done today. So I used to write like, see, the growth is great. I'm proud of you for, growing in maths today, and then we'll do better tomorrow. And then write that, why was I panicking during quants? Why did it matter to me? Like, first 3 questions I couldn't solve, then why was I panicking on the fourth one? If you talk to yourself that way, you'll feel like somebody else is cursing for you, and it will help you. So always make
Correct.
sure that you write a short note, and then if you're like a good writer or something, you can extend it and write journals or diary entry. That could also be a healing process through these times.
Great. These are wonderful tips. I think both of them, the commonality is that they're saying that, one, you take care of yourself, right? Take care of your physical health, take care of your mental health. Nothing is more important than your health. Okay, and you'll have to take care of it. The second thing is, both of them are talking about support systems, right? So seek help. Don't battle this alone, right? If you're battling it alone, it'll seem like a very big battle. And I'm telling you, you need someone to give you that perspective that this is not the be all and end all of your world. Okay. CAT is not the be all and end all of your world. IIFT is not. No other exam is the be all and end all of your world, right? If you do great, fantastic. If you don't, there are 10 other options where you can build a fantastic career. You can do IIFT next year, right? Bhoomika spoke about all sorts of age groups. I would say, even if you're 29, I've had students who've gotten into great schools after 30, at 32, 33, 34, right? Listen, these things don't matter, right? Just focus on your controllables, take care of yourself, and don't over sort of pressurize yourself by telling yourself these fake things, right? It's not the be all and end all of your world. It's just an exam. Okay. All right. Fantastic. Thank you so much, both of you. You should definitely go back and check out the live chat. I mean, it's full of wonderful, beautiful comments for the both of you. I can clearly see that students are very happy and very grateful. Some of them even said that we'll see you next year as a junior, and they are sure that you will be the best seniors in the school. A lot of them are sort of saying that. So great, fantastic. I'm sure, folks. I'm very sure. I think some of you, in fact, my hope is many of you will be at IIFT next year, or will be at fantastic schools, or sort of working on your careers in amazing ways. So all the best for that. Aman and Bhoomika, thank you so much. Sorry, go ahead.
Thank you to you more than anything, because I mean, I just reached out because I felt like I could speak to you guys through sir, and you were very kind enough. Their entire team helped us. They told us how to handle these things, the questions and everything. So I'm very, very grateful that you're taking your time out and giving us and trusting us with the kind of information and insights we're giving. That is a great deal. And to be honest, I never thought that, I was texting Aman like, is this a goosebump moment? Because we never thought we'd ever be here. And you look at these people in high regards, and then suddenly you are these people, and you're like, oh my God, am I really doing this? So thank you so much.
And you both deserve it. You both deserve it. You're obviously, I mean, incredibly smart and talented people. And the best thing is that, you folks are really going out and paying it forward, right? Not everyone does it, right? So I think credit needs to go to you. You folks deserve it. It was a fantastic session. Thank you so much. And I'm hoping that we'll keep our relationship alive and the collaboration alive. I'm sure our students would want to hear from you again and again. Okay. Thank you so much, folks.
All the best, everyone. We'll see you here if
yes,
soon.
absolutely.
All the best for your exam. All the best. Yeah.
Absolutely. Great. All the best, folks. We'll see you again on YouTube very soon. All right. Bye. Okay, one second.